G'day YouTubers, welcome back today. We're going to have a quick chat about the new Stephen King movie, The Monkey. We got meat like eggs and scramble! Now, obviously, this was a Stephen King book that was turned into the movie, The Monkey. Now, this movie absolutely amazed me when I first seen it. It's a dark comedy horror that's pretty much next level. It was made on a very small budget, like 10 to 11 million, and already at the box office it's crossed over 63 million and still growing at this time. Now, I'm a big fan of my Stephen King movies. I love my favourite movie out of Stephen King happens to be Christine. Now, this movie is written and directed by Osgood Perkins, and he actually happens to star in this movie as well as Uncle Chip. You wait till you see him in it, he's actually quite a hilarious character, that's for sure. Alright, let's have a quick chat about it then. Oh yeah, definitely I was quite surprised with it because, to the partial to the Stephen King horrors, they were a bit more, more horror-y than this one. This one's definitely a lot more of the comedic side than the horror side, but that's okay because it definitely made for a good watch. And as well, like when you first even start watching the movie, even though it's directed by Osgood Perkins, it gave me this very like Pulp Fiction, Tarantino film like feel about it, and that was honestly quite cool and a little bit nostalgic for me to feel. I love me Tarantino films as well. Alright, so the main character in this one's called Theo James, and he's playing twins called Hal and Bill. Now, this is pretty amazing to see, seeing Theo James is actually going to be playing two characters in the one movie, and honestly, two completely different characters in comparison because they're twin brothers, and one's pretty much a bit nerdy, and one's the cool kid that likes to go and do a bit of naughty stuff. And it was good, honestly, to see him play the two different roles. You honestly felt like he honestly had a twin himself in there that was just playing the alternate role that it was supposed to do. And that was really cool to see how he could split up both roles. Another actress that we have in it is Tatiana Maslany. Now, you would have actually seen her out of film, or actually, sorry, out of the series Marvel's She-Hulk. Now, she actually plays the mother to Hal and Bill in this movie, and at the start, she doesn't really have quite a long role, but when you get to see sort of her demise, and I shouldn't be happy about it, but when you get to see it, it's very different, that's for sure. Now, playing the father in this one for Hal and Bill is Adam Scott. Now, his name is Petey in the movie. Now, you don't really get to see him a lot at all because he's actually probably the first person that you actually get to see in the movie because he's the original owner of the monkey. Now, you would have seen Adam Scott out of, certain series like Parks and Recreation, but I remember him out of a very funny movie from the 2000s, Step Brothers. Now, because there's many layers to this movie, you also got young Hal and Bill who happens to be played by Chris Conboy. Now, you would have seen him out of like the Netflix series Sweet Tooth, which was a really good series. If you haven't seen that, go check it out on Netflix. As well as another young actor in this one playing Hal's son is Colin O'Brien. Now, you would have actually seen him out of Apple TV series Dear Edward, and he actually got an award for that playing Edward. And it's funny enough that in the movie that he's actually called Petey, which happened to be Hal and Bill's father, so you need to remember that for the actual story. One of my final actors that I wanted to have a chat about that pops up in this one is good old Elijah Wood. Now, everyone remembers Elijah Wood as, Frodo from Lord of the Rings, as well as I remember him from some of my favourite movies like Deep Impact, and one of the personal favourites doesn't get really much fame, but is really good, and it has Charlie Hunnam in it, Green Street Hooligans. If you haven't seen that one, go look it up and check that bad boy out. It's a really good movie. So obviously the premise behind this one is an evil monkey comes along and it's sort of like a toy monkey, and every time it bangs its drum, something happens or someone dies in a very peculiar and weird way. Which is funny enough to me, it came across like realistically, if it was ever going to happen, this was the way it was going to happen. It wasn't going to happen an easy way. It was going to be very difficult and possibly not a very nice way to enter the next life. And as well as all with Stephen King's books and movies, they've got beautiful twists in there and they really keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. And as well with the monkey, it definitely did not disappoint at all. I wasn't really prepared for how much comedy compared to the normal horror that I like was in it, but it definitely rounded out for a very perfect Stephen King movie, that's for sure. And Osgood Perkins, got to give him props, he really did well with this movie. Like, for having a 10 or $11 million budget and then already pumping 63, it's already going to show him how good of a director and writer he is. Just a quick one to everyone. Just like to thank everyone for liking and watching my videos, and my old subscribers. Love you all. Thanks for watching my videos, and let's get back into the review. Alright, everyone. So the story goes pretty much like this. The first time when you see when it's opening, starting off this movie, you see Pete, Hal and Bill's dad, who's Adam Scott, going into a secondhand store, a pawn shop, and pretty much trying to get rid of this monkey that plays the drums that he has that he doesn't want anymore, and he didn't really want to explain it. And the pawnbroker or secondhand shop dealer, he didn't really want it because he doesn't really like toys and stuff like that. And for some apparent reason, the Petey, the dad, he kept saying to the fellow, "Don't call it a toy. Don't call it a toy. He won't like that. Something will happen." And then he doesn't really start to explain what happens with the monkey, but then the second-hand dealer doesn't really believe him, and then stuff goes astray, and the monkey strikes his magic on the second-hand dealer.
Hey, listen, I need you to take this thing off my hands. Just make it someone else's problem.
And it's a bit gruesome as well as funny, but yeah, it wasn't really expected, that was for sure. And then next thing you know, Petey, Adam Scott's character, sees a old school like flamethrower in the shop, grabs that bad boy, takes the monkey out of the car park, and pretty much burns it to complete incineration where you don't even get to see it anymore. And that's where it cuts to the opening credits like an old school movie. Like it doesn't actually throw you straight into the movie, or well it did, but then it cuts to the credits, which was actually pretty cool. That's where I felt the Quentin Tarantino nostalgia for the movie, old Pulp Fiction and all these films that we really love. Now continue on with the monkey. Next scene that you get, it shoots to Hal and Bill and their Petey sons, and probably around 10, 11, and they're growing up together with their mum in some quaint American town. And then, yeah, that's when you sort of find out that their dad isn't really in the situation anymore. And he originally had the monkey, and he was a pilot as well. And yeah, he's no longer in the family anymore. And the mum seems pretty distraught about it, and she talks about him just running away and being a bit of a deadbeat. So then the boys get, a bit curious more about their dad than what their actual mum's saying. So they go start looking around and rummaging through his stuff. And that's when they stumble across, even though at the start of the movie you see him burn it, the monkey in a box. And it literally has its own box. They open it, see the monkey. It's very lifelike. It even creeped me out the first time I seen it.
What?
The other brother, Bill, who was a bit more... Yeah, he's the cooler one and more than Hal, the little nerdy one, takes ownership of it because he's always picking on his brother Hal. And yeah, Bill plays with it for a little bit, even turns the key, which obviously they didn't know what it was going to do at that present stage, but yeah, turns the key. Their mum has to go out on a date, so they get looked after by a babysitter and go out for some Chinese takeaway, I'm pretty sure. And that's when the boys get their first experience of what the monkey can actually do, or they didn't even really know it was the monkey, they thought it was an accident at first, when their babysitter happens to get her head accidentally pretty much sliced in half. And that was another thing where I was like, wow, didn't really expect that to happen. Then it cuts to the scenes of, obviously, they're putting the babysitter to rest at the church, and the priest isn't really, even I thought it was quite comical, the priest didn't really know what he was doing, what he was talking about. Bit of swearing and a lot of nonsense that he didn't really need to say.
Oh, fuck.
And then, yeah, it cuts to the coffin getting put into the ground, and the boy's crying with her mum, and she's just explaining death to him in a very frank and brief way.
It's only when everybody dies.
So then, yeah, the boys got to continue on with their lives and go back to high school and continue being teenagers and growing up. But, of course, Hal's a bit of the nerdy side, and Bill's the cooler kid, and sort of sets Hal up a lot for a lot of bullying situations, which, were pretty common back in those days. But still, wouldn't necessarily like it done on my children, so I don't really like it.
Looks like you got yourself a bit of a pants problem, kid.
So after a lot of bullying, Hal sort of gets enough of it, grabs the monkey himself, and asks the monkey to kill his brother. Pretty much, yeah, flat out. Once his brother dead, he even had a dream of it, which you got to remember, like, if you actually watch the movie, he has a dream about killing his brother with a bowling ball, squashing it on his head. And he pretty much begs the monkey to kill his brother, turns the key, and yeah, the next thing you get to know is his brother's coming home from school, and their mum sort of has like a brain aneurysm. I'm pretty sure she was bleeding out of a lot of her ears, her eyes, and her nose, and the next thing you know, the aneurysm happened, and she just passed out, bleeding onto the bench, and yeah, that was pretty intense for the boys. Especially when, underneath, Hal knew that what he had done, that he'd actually done the monkey to kill his brother, but instead of doing that, it had killed his mother by accident. And he didn't tell Bill about it, ever, which of course I don't think you would ever do, because then, yeah, your brother will probably want revenge on you. So it ends up that they have to move to their uncle's place, who is Uncle Chip, who happens to be the Osgood Perkins, the director and the writer of the movie.
You know, your Aunt Ida and your Uncle Chip never wanted kids.
So they get moved all the way out to Maine, and that's where they stay for a long time. And while they're there, they still have the monkey, and Bill's having a real hard time trying to let go that his mum's dead. And Howard's trying to sort of get him through it, but they end up just separating and not being the best of brothers at this stage. And that's sort of when Bill actually realizes that the monkey can kill people. And so he accidentally tries it and plays with it, and that's when Uncle Chip accidentally gets trampled by a stampede of horses while on a hunting trip, which was very unfortunate for him. But yeah, you actually get to see scenes when they open up the sleeping bag that he was in, and yeah, it was very let's just say graphic, that's for sure. Would not let anyone under the age of 15 probably watch this movie. So after Uncle Chip's death, Hal decides that he's gonna hack the monkey up, put it in a bag, and they're gonna get rid of it. And then Bill gets in on it, and yeah, it happens. Hal takes the monkey out to the shed and pretty much chops him up into pieces, and they put him in a suitcase and throw him down the bottom of a well. And that's about what you see until the boys grow up.
Just get rid of it.
So yeah, it cuts to 25 years later, where Hal pretty much is estranged from Bill, and he also has a son called Petey. So pretty much he thinks that if he stays away from Petey, the monkey will not come back and kill him, because that's the way that they feel. Even though they've ditched it down a well, they still have a feeling that it could come back eventually. So it ends up that it comes around that So it ends up that Hal actually gets to see his kid once a year for about a week, and it comes around that that's his time, and it's time to go see his kid. So he gets some time off work, goes and grabs his kid, and at this stage, that's where he gets to find out, that's where we get to see the Elijah Wood character pop in, that his ex-partner and her new partner at the time are going to adopt the son and pretty much push Hal out of the life so he doesn't have to see him anymore once a year.
Feel that parental energy transferred from you to me.
Which was pretty sad to hear about, but if you think about it, he was actually trying to do it for his own protection, not for his own selfish ways. He was actually just trying to save his son instead of, bringing him in and possibly getting him killed. So once he grabs his kid, they decide that they're going to go out for amusement parks, go roller coaster riding for a week, go, have a good time for a week, spend time together. Because technically to him, it could be his last week that he ever gets to see his kid. So they start heading out on their trip, and they end up at this motel. It's pretty cool. And next thing you know, out of nowhere, is cuts to the next scene where you get to see Hal and Bill's old auntie, the one that was married to Chip, walking around in her old house, having she thinks that something's going on, she can hear some noises and stuff, and it flicks to her walking around their house, checking out with a gun, make sure everything's okay. And then she accidentally has another accident, like everything happens with the monkey, that ends up pretty gruesome, and she passes away. So that's when it cuts back next to the motel, and Hal's going to call from his brother Bill, who he hasn't heard from in 25 years, saying that he needs to go back to Maine to see his auntie who has passed away, to deal with all the estate and house and stuff like that.
Hello.
Well, hello, dumb shit.
So reluctantly, Hal goes, okay, yeah, I'll do it and stuff. But in doing this, something happens at the motel where a air conditioner off the roof lands in a pool. Still obviously electrified, and some lady jumps in, and I don't think it would happen like this, but she goes to jump in the pool. Hal tries to stop her, and she actually explodes. And it was pretty intense to see. I didn't think it was going to happen like that. I thought possibly she was going to jump in the water and get fried like sort of like a toaster in a bathtub. But no, as soon as she touched the water, she blew up. And even me and my wife were sitting there pretty shocked, like, wow, that just escalated real quick. So yeah, then it cuts to Hal and his son, Petey, heading towards Maine to go check out the auntie's house and estate. And, Hal's a bit freaked out. He doesn't really want to do it because he doesn't want to bring his son, Petey, in on it, because he doesn't want the monkeys to go for and target Petey, which is fair enough. I wouldn't want that to happen on my kids as well. So he gets there, a lot of misfortunes happen, and then it ends up that his brother is actually located in Maine, Bill, and he was actually on the hunt for the monkey the whole time, because he had a little bit of a vision after the monkey got dropped into the well. Now, don't want to go too much into it because I really like people to go out and watch the movie, but yeah, this is where the twists and it really gets interesting in the movie to find out that Bill, in all honesty, for the last 25 years was actually re-looking for the monkey to go out with his revenge plan against his brother Hal. Now, that's where I want to probably leave off the story because I really want people to go out and watch this one because it really surprised me. I was not expecting the twists and turns that this one had, even though it is a Stephen King, adaptation, but still was so shocked and amazed at just how some of the possibilities of the people, leaving this earth and passing away, and just the realization of this would probably actually how it would really happen in real life. Like, it wouldn't just be as easy as everyone thinks. You'd probably, be that accidental one that'll fall over something, get something in their face, and then burst into flames. Now, just like to have a bit of chat about the movie like usual, just to put my opinion on it for everyone out there. Now, first off, I feel Osgood Perkins nailed it. Like, he wrote it, directed it, and even acted in it. And I feel, as being a bit of a Stephen King fan, I really love Christine, but Christine was in a completely different time and a completely different kind of book or movie compared to The Monkey. I was coming into The Monkey with an expectation of a lot of horror, probably a lot of gore, and then came out of it with still a lot of horror, a lot of gore, but a very comical side about it as well. Like, I didn't really think, like, it was definitely 100% better than the movie I watched not too long ago called Hard Eyes. Now, Hard Eyes was meant to come across as a dark horror comedy as well, but I feel that The Monkey nailed it 100% compared to what Hard Eyes would have done. Like, Hard Eyes was still good, but nowhere near what The Monkey is. So Osgood Perkins did a really good job on that one. As well as I feel that Theo James being one actor himself and then playing two completely different roles that he had to obviously switch into at different stages of the movie was really good to see as well. Like, going from a complete, nerdy kid that's sort of, stays at home, chills out a bit, doesn't really like going out, hangs out with his friends, to
But staying away from family, that's easier said than done.
his brother Bill, who is complete opposite, outrovert, going out, being naughty, hanging out with people, dressing differently, just being a complete out there different kid.
Of all English-speaking people will either say "ho shit" or "holy shit" before they die.
Now, it was cool for him to see that he was able to switch like that, definitely between the movie. There were definitely a lot of scenes in this movie that got me laughing, but there were a couple of scenes that actually really resonated with me, and I was like, wow, that's intense. There was a scene where Hal was having a dream, and in this dream, it was sort of like a psychedelic dream. He goes to sleep, and the next thing you know, a big monkey hand comes out of nowhere and like scoops him up out of the bed. And he falls into sort of like Alice in Wonderland's rabbit hole, going down Willy Wonka's tunnel almost. And ends up landing on a bench which resembled the bench that he put the monkey on years ago and chopped him up. And next thing you know, Hal opens his eyes and sees a ginormous version of himself, but with a monkey head on, and starts hacking himself up, which was really weird and a very cool way to put that into the movie. Like, it definitely spun me out, that's for sure. And obviously, yeah, the first scene where you got to see Petey, Hal and Bill's dad, try and sell the monkey to the pawnbroker or second-hand dealer, and then how the incident involved with him, and he was pretty much taunting the monkey the whole time, the second-hand dealer, and obviously it showed its power, because if the monkey still has its hand up by the end of it and it hasn't struck the drum, the death won't come. But till that happens, everyone was always picking on the monkey or teasing it, even though Petey's dad was in the shop telling the fella not to and not to do it.
No, it's not a toy. So just don't ever call it that.
He's like, look, nothing happened. Drumstick came down and an old school harpoon gun out of the corner of the shop. Like, it was almost like a game of mousetrap how it happened. All the parts fell into one and boom, shot the harpoon gun straight into the second-hand dealer's belly, and then even better, retracted, so it pulled everything back out and he fell down. And that's when Hal and Bill's dad, Petey, grabbed the flamethrower and thought he could kill the monkey by flamethrowing it, but obviously it didn't work. So I feel out of the new like dark horror comedy genre that they're doing now, like this one happens to be one of my favorites. Like there's a lot of different gory slasher ones that just a bit over the top and over dramatic, and I know this the monkey like Osgood Perkins did this really well. It just fits in and suits really well. Like can't actually explain it myself. That's why I really want you to go out and watch The Monkey. So I do feel that some people prefer the old school classic horrors compared to these new, dark comedy horror movies. But I feel it's like the irony and the cynicism that makes it more relatable to people of these age. Like definitely certain ways that's how I felt in this movie watching it. Like if honestly, if that was the way I was going to go, it'd be in a ridiculous way, exactly like how this movie portrays it. Yeah, my final thoughts on The Monkey, guys. Everything was really good. I loved the comedy in it, loved the horror. Didn't even care about the special effects because it was just a really good watch. I haven't actually sat down and watched a movie like this other than Last Breath. That was a really good movie, which I just did a review on. But this one actually made me sit down and really want to watch it. And honestly, I did watch it again because I was so intrigued in it and excited by it that like wow, someone like could turn because I thought Christine was a good Stephen King movie, but then next thing you know, Osgood Perkins has come out and pumped this bad boy out. I feel it's really going to reshape the horror comedy genre. Alright, YouTubes, that comes to the end of the review. Thank you for watching. Always don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new. And all my old viewers, love you all. Thank you for watching my videos. And do you have a favourite Stephen King movie or book? If you do, let me know in the comments. Or if you've seen The Monkey, tell me what you think about it. Bring it back and leave it in the comments. We'll have a chat about it. Now, as usual, I'll catch you on the next one.